Alright, this is Sega's arcade hit from 1989, Golden Axe, first released early that year in the arcades and ported to the Sega Genesis later that year as, of course, one of Sega's many great arcade ports of the time. This game plays similar to many Sega arcade games in that you have a simple attack button, a jump button, and a magic or special attack. In this one you gain magic by collecting it from these little gnome guys here. Give them a hit and you'll collect a magic piece. As you can see, you can pick your character. We have 3 characters to pick from in this one. I am playing as the guy and I have a certain amount of magic, as you can see at the top left of the screen. And my girlfriend's actually playing this with me, and she's playing as the girl. And as you can see, her character in the top right of the screen has even more magic and different spells that she can do. So yeah, basically save up the magic and use it on the bosses. And in between levels here you have an opportunity to gain more magic and health. So that's kind of a fun little thing there. And we go through the storyline as we go through the levels. Of course, very simple storyline as you would expect from an arcade. And we're on to level 2. In the bottom you can see our characters and you can see our hit points and our amount of lives we have left. And like I said, in the top is our magic. Overall, I think they did a really good job on this game. The graphics are great for 1989. The music is really good. The only thing the one gripe I have with the sound is whenever an enemy dies and they scream, the music stops playing in the background while the, enemy's sound effect is playing. So obviously some limitation to their sound engine there. But luckily they fixed that in the later ones. It's really the biggest problem with this game. It's a very good game overall. Once again, collecting more magic before a boss fight. And now on to Golden Axe 2. Alright, so Golden Axe 2 was never released in the arcades. It was actually brought directly to the Sega Genesis for the Sega Genesis. Once again, developed and published by Sega. Very similar to the first one. You've got the same 3 playable characters in this one. You have a similar gameplay. Let's be honest, the graphics are similar. Maybe slightly upgraded, I think, in the way the characters and enemies look. And also the sound and music may be a little bit better, and you don't have the music cut out when there's the enemies' voices of them dying, so that's a bonus there. But overall, it's not, a huge improvement on the game. It's just a slight improvement with new levels, but that's not really a bad thing because the first one was so good, and the first one was an arcade game, and like I said, this one was directly on the Genesis. As you can see here, even in between levels, once again, your opportunity to get your magic back and get more magic and health. once again, playing this game in 2 players. Great fun multiplayer game once again. And similar to the first one, storyline progressing. Oh, and in this one you do gain strength as you go through the game, depending on how good you do. Now the magic system's a little bit different in this one. In the first one you hit A and that's it. You'll use the biggest spell that you have depending on how much magic you have. In this one you can pick if you want to use, 1, 2, 3, or all 6 or however many magic you have. You can choose how big of a spell you want. If you just want a small spell and you don't want to waste all your magic, you can tap the A button and you'll actually see the magic charge up. And then you tap it again quickly to use that amount that's charged up. So you can use from just a single small spell all the way up to your whole biggest spell you can do. It's a little bit tricky sometimes in the battles. You do accidentally pick a 1 spell when you meant to use it all. Now this game, like I said, came out in 1991, so really only, just over a year, I guess, before the second one came out. So it did come out rather quickly. It's still a fairly early game, in the 16-bit era, 1991, same year the Super Nintendo came out. So once again, for the time, I think this is still a good-looking game. And like I said, the music seems to be improved slightly. And it's just as fun as the first one. We're dead. Now on to the third one. I'm going to show you this running off the EverDrive. You will need a Japanese Mega Drive or a system with a region switch to play this, as you can see here. So this is Golden Axe 3. As we can see, we have a few new playable characters. They've also added some moves. You can actually do like high attack and low attack. So if an enemy has a shield and he's blocking your high attack, you can do a low attack. There's a new jump attack where you can actually usually do like a jump and then thrust down. And also when you run, you'll run out with your sword now. So instead of just checking the guy, you'll charge at him with your weapon. And on top of that, well, that's about it, really. Quite frankly, this game, I think, is disappointing. It's definitely the most disappointing out of the three. The first two are great. This one came out in 1993 in Japan. It was only released in Japan in 1993. My theory is yeah, this game, they didn't really see it as being relevant, or, you know, they didn't see it worth bringing over here. They really didn't add enough to the game. The graphics, in my opinion, are no better than the second one. And, you know, this is a couple of years later. They really could have improved the graphics. Once again, picking up magic. And this one, you actually have to pick up the items. You don't just walk over them to pick them up. You actually have to press B over top of things to pick them up. So that's another thing they changed. Once again, a little bit of storyline as we go through the game. Now, they did release this game to North America in 1995 on the Sega Channel. Now, how many people actually had the Sega Channel? If you even know what the Sega Channel is. Sega Channel was basically an online service where you'd buy a special modem for your Sega Genesis, and you could play online games, and you could download games that necessarily you couldn't get in the stores, such as Golden Axe 3. Of course, it was a monthly service, and you know, you had to live in an area that offered it, and it really never caught on. I don't know anyone who had it. Of course, it was a cool thing for the time. I mean, they were trying new things, trying the whole, you know, getting online, and, you know, the idea of downloading games and everything was pretty radical for the time. So they did release this game there, but this game never came to North America on a cartridge. And so that's why I'm using the EverDrive to play it. And like I said, it's a Japanese ROM, so you will need, you know, some form of playing that Japanese game, because it is region blocked, as I showed. Overall, this game's not horrible. The biggest problem with this game is it runs a little bit slow. There's more slowdown in this one than there is in the other two. It's almost like it's just rushed. You know, it doesn't feel complete. I almost thought maybe it wasn't developed by Sega, but it turns out this one as well. It's developed and published by Sega. Just not maybe tweaked to where it should have been, since it was really never released over here anyways. I don't recommend this one if you're going to go out of your way to actually buy this one. I mean, unless you're a collector and you absolutely want to have all three, you're going to pay to import this one from Japan. It's going to cost you more, and it's not really worth it. It's not as good as the first two. I definitely recommend picking up the first two, not so much the third one.